Hi, I'm Michelle Stacey from Creek Landcare. We're working on a Karamu project. Karamu, it's Caprosma robusta. It's a New Zealand weed which is having devastating consequences to our native vegetation through the Flinders and Red Hill area on the Mornington Peninsula. Karamu has become a massive problem here. The birds spread the seed through our native bushland and then it grows up and smothers out the indigenous bushland. So Creek Landcare recognised the Karamu issue here and we started a campaign to get some support to do something about it in 2015. We got our first grant funding in 2016. So that started the Meekins Road Karamu removal project. We have received 4 grants totalling $90,000 from the Port Phillip Western Port Catchment Management Authority, Landcare Australia, and the current funding is from the Federal Government Communities Environment Program. And all throughout the program, Mornington Peninsula Shire have really supported what we're doing here. Once the Karamu's been removed, there is barely any native vegetation that has survived. It even kills out the mature eucalypts. Hundreds of hours of community support from the residents of Meekins Road and the Landcare Committee has made this project extremely successful. We have removed Karamu and other weed species from both sides of approximately 5 kilometres of some very wide road verges.
Yes, I'm on a committee. I'm not a very experienced member, so I'm learning a lot from the group, and coming out here and doing this is part of the whole learning, and it's fun as well. It's great.
There was a big seed bank of Karamu across the road. It's constantly through, not only on the sort of road verge, but out through our gardens and under any trees. It doesn't grow. Cattle or sheep keep it under control in paddocks, but as soon as it gets into sort of gardens where it's not eaten by anything, it just goes wild. And you see this side of the road at the moment, a bit further down, it was like that on both sides of the road. So you basically had a tunnel to drive through.
So from a farm point of view, we're finding that when we create shelter belts, so we fence those areas off, and they're becoming quite good wildlife corridors and benefit for stock, of course, for shelter. Where we've got a Karamu population, it's only within 2 years that those shelter belts are invaded with Karamu. So we get a Karamu population moving straight into a non-grazed area. So it is just so highly invasive, so highly competitive in once it gets a grip, and then starting to move off what we've planted if we're not onto its eradication in its early stages. So in the areas where the Karamu population is a little thinner, we are able to do just with handwork, cutting with chainsaws and paste. So cut and paste, that's near to ground level. That's working really well.
It's a weed killer, so when you paint it on, it absorbs it into the roots, and presumably it will kill the rest of the plant that's left behind.
So through Landcare, they've brought in the forestry mulcher to do some mass removal, which looks terrible. It's quite invasive on the environment, but the long run, it's going to be a difficult plant to control. Will be under control with some intensive care in the next couple of years, re-weeding after the regrowth, and replanting of indigenous species for the ecology and wildlife.
Been in the industry a few years now, and been using this machine to clean up lots of properties around the peninsula. It's very good property maintenance, care. This machine is very ideal for this kind of job because we can determine what tree we want to attack.
Mulcher has been going through, so we've been going along and clearing up all the little leftovers behind, and basically cutting and painting it with a killer. And
So we did this section about 2 years ago. It used to look like across the road. So it was really thick, mulched it out and revegetated the area. And this is an area of recently sprayed regrowth. Part of the reason we started doing this work was to try and help protect Greensbush National Park, which is not very far from here. Another area issue we've got with the Karamu is it's actually hybridised with the local Caprosma quadrifida, the prickly currant, so it's generated a new species. This Main Creek Landcare Karamu project has demonstrated how road verges can be rehabilitated. We need to protect our native bushland areas from weed invasion. Removing weeds from your property will give our Indigenous flora a chance to survive and provide habitat for fauna. Please help our precious Mornington Peninsula bushland by controlling your weeds and joining your local landcare group. Together we can make a difference.